Hello to all of you rugby fans across the province. I'm Brendan Monroe with BC Rugby, and today we bring you the final regular season game of the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League season. We have the Castaway Wanderers facing Burnaby Lake. Burnaby Lake in control of their own destiny. They need a win, and they need the bonus point. They are 5 points behind, guaranteeing themselves a playoff spot in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League semifinals, which go in 1 week's time. However, anything short of the full 5 points will create an opportunity for not only Capellanos, who are in action right now, to lock up a spot, but also for James Bay, who are in action right now, to lock up a spot. James Bay are currently taking on the Vancouver Rowing Club. Capilano at home to UBC. We're a couple of hours away from deciding everything in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League as far as the playoff seeding goes. Burnaby Lake left it pretty late last week against the Roars. They needed the 5 points in that one, and they delivered. Can they do the same here as they face Castaway Wanderers? Joe Dulsau, ball in hand, about to do the kicking. We'll go over the starting lineups at the first opportunity. But we are about to get underway in just a second. Long, deep, high kick from Dulsau is collected, and immediately the Burnaby Lake defenders are present on defense. That ball out of the base of the ruck was a skip pass and hacked all the way down. Back to collect it is McQueen. He'll run it out for a few meters before getting it over to Dulsau in the centers. He makes a quick step to his right, and he'll feed that one over to number 11, Turner. Turner just about making the work of it himself. Dulsau's there. He's at the line. What happened right at the line? I've seen no try signal, but we have a little discussion going on between our official and the touch judge just to confirm, and the hand is up. That is a good try, and the Burnaby Lake lads will need 3 more just like that, but they've opened their account very, very quickly. They have 5 points right off the hop, and before we've even had a chance to tell you who the lineups are, Burnaby Lake in pursuit of those necessary 5 points. They'll have a long kick here as James Reekie lines up the conversion. Reekie's kick is going to drift wide. 5 points to start the day for Burnaby Lake. That was all started with some clever running from Joe Dulsau, a former BC Rugby Union Player of the Year. He had a lot of space to work with in front of him, and by the time the defense closed in, he was able to get the support he needed from Brian Murphy wearing 11, who I may have called from the wrong team. So we'll go through those starting lineups again, like I mentioned, in just a second. We'll have to wait for a break in the action, which is going to resume right now. Lifting the ball high into the air is James Mitchell, and bringing it down. A couple of players in there looking for it. Castaway Wanderers trying to turn it over, and they've managed to do so. So good restart work from Castaway Wanderers. They'll go to the left. And good strong running. Panga decides to flip it back inside. Ball's turned over. Cody Roxonen at scrum half for Burnaby Lake. James Reekie's kick is out on the full, and we'll get a line out. The starting lineup for Burnaby Lake, wearing number 1 is Adrian Longbone, 2 is Andrew Lackner, 3 Ryan Ackerman, 4 is Andy Drummond, 5 is Paul McFeely, 6 is Craig McLaughlin, 7, Connor McCann. 8 is Admir Savanovic. 9, Cody Roxon. 10, James Reekie. 11, Brian Murphy, our try scorer, I believe, from just a moment ago. Number 12, Jake Goody. 13, Joe Delso. 14, Adam Timler. And 15 is Cole McQueen. For Castaway Wanderers in the front row, John Braddock, Ray Barkwill, and Clayton Thornber. Where 1, 2, 3 in the second row, we have Kyle Hohert and Matt McLean. In the back row, we have Riley Ilnicki, Brendan Kelleher, and Lucas Albornoz, wearing 6, 7, and 8, respectively. The scrum half is Tegan Horton. The fly half is Clay Panga. James Turner and Johnny Morris are the wingers. Nathan Oliver and James Mitchell are the centers, and Keenan Horton is the fullback. So you get a chance to see Ray Barkwill in the center of your screen there. Has not played too many games for Castaway Wanderers this year, but has certainly been an imposing figure at the front of that scrum when he has been in the lineup. On the Burnaby Lake side, Cody Roxon has not seen too much action. He's missed much of the year due to injury, so he's back in there. They are missing Micha Gavorchin at hooker, who has continued to be dogged by injuries. He's missed most of this season, but he's a very promising young forward in the front row who would normally be getting a very good test against Barkwill, but he's unavailable for this game. I believe that was Albornoz in there for Castaway Wanderers, trying to swing it out to the wing, unable to do so as the center was tackled. Burnaby Lake trying to turn it over, but there's a penalty on the play, and we're going to get a kick for Castaway Wanderers. Clay Panga finding touch on the 10-meter line on the Burnaby Lake side. Once again, if you missed the start of our broadcast, I'm Brendan Monroe. Thanks for joining us for this, the final game of the regular season here in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League. Burnaby Lake needs the bonus point win in order to hold on to a playoff spot in one of the semifinals coming up next week. We know that UVic and UBC have already booked their tickets as well. And Capilano and James Bay both have a shot. We'll have to get the calculators out in a couple of hours if things end up close, but they couldn't be any closer than they are right now. And Burnaby Lake had a very, very good start to this game, scoring a try inside the first 2 minutes. A good team effort between Dolsow and Murphy. Burnaby Lake's penalty kick, putting the ball well back on the Castaway Wanderers side of the field. And Burnaby's going to set a very deep set of backs in the attack off this lineout if they can spin it wide, and they'll be in a good attacking position should they be able to retain possession off of this lineout. Going over the top, but not connecting with the jumper, and it's going to be Albornoz coming out. He's tackled around the shoulders and brought down. Burnaby Lake able to turn it over, though, through the breakdown. Over to Drummond. Penalty to Castaway Wanderers. Good cross-cover tackle there from Lackner. Check that, Ackerman coming back across and tackling the center, who is looking to stretch that play down the far touch line and unable to get past the big front rower. Barkwill throws in. Panga distributes to his right. Goes to Brendan Kelleher. Now Tegan Horton. To Albornoz. Jumps over a tackle, gets it to just about the 22. He's trying to present it back. Very slow to come back in that breakdown, but now it does come out. Slicing forward is James Turner. Good support of the ball here. They're playing it slowly. And a penalty coming up. Ball carrier holding on there, and Burnaby Lake will have a chance to kick this one away. The first real signs of pressure from Castaway Wanderers on that last sequence. We will continue to check the Twitter feed throughout the course of the day. If we see scores being reported from James Bay or from the UBC Capilano game, we will let you know. Dolasau taking the ball into the tackle. Cody Roxon with it now. He'll distribute to Andy. Check that, Paul McFeely. Now to Riki at fly half. He skips it over to Dolasau. Into the hands of Admir Savanovic, I believe, who was in there coming back from his tour with the Sevens team for Canada. We see Savanovic in the scrum cap, part of that team that went over to Tokyo and defeated the not the All Blacks, I guess you don't call them that on the Sevens side, but the New Zealand Sevens team. So that's the first time that Canada has ever defeated the squad from New Zealand in a Sevens match in 30 attempts. So a very historic moment. Admir Savanovic, part of that team that was able to come away with that big win, a stepping stone for sure in the Canadian Sevens program. And speaking of Canadian Sevens, of course, the Canada Sevens are happening right now, just a couple dozen miles away over at Langford, West Hills Stadium. And some of the best women's rugby players in the world taking part in that tournament today. If you had an opportunity to watch the high school Sevens earlier today with us, thanks for doing so. We had a fun time broadcasting all those games. And, of course, the cup final between Abbotsford and Brentwood College will go at 4 o'clock. In the meantime, we'll get back to the action here at Windsor Park. Castaway Wanderers trailing 5-0 against Burnaby Lake. Burnaby Lake with that very bright start in the opening 2 minutes of the game. But it's been much more balanced since then. Right in the pocket, Clay Panga forced to change the angle of attack. Getting it up to the 22s, dropped by Horton. Check that, Oliver, and that's going to result. Actually, we got a penalty here for the offside for Burnaby Lake. So an opportunity presenting itself for Castaway Wanderers to get out from their own 22. And they'll slash it into touch. BC Rugby would like to thank our sponsors and partners who help us deliver streaming rugby to you every weekend. We would like to thank Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, and we'll get back to that sponsors thank you in just a moment. The game resumes. Ball's loose on the ground momentarily, but found by Roxon, who distributes it through the line. Dolasau now juking left and right. His offload just staying in the hands of Goody Goody. Roxon is jumped upon very quickly. Brendan Callagher gets in there to disrupt a pass, but failed to roll away, and so we have a penalty to Burnaby Lake. Savanovic over top of the ball, deciding what to do. Opportunity to go for posts, certainly from that 22-meter line on a very slight angle, but just off center. very kickable, and Burnaby Lake have elected to go for the posts. Now, one thing to consider in this match is that the 4-point win may end up helping them, but it won't necessarily be enough. So it's going to be strategic throughout the game and how they decide to get, how do they decide to get all 4 of their required tries. So the win is necessary, but the 4-try bonus point is also necessary. So every time that they come around this 22-meter line, they'll and have any kind of penalty to work with, there'll be tough decisions to be made. James Reekie lines up this kick. He missed the last opportunity on the conversion from a similar distance, but from a tighter angle. This kick looks good. It's straight down the middle, so 3 more points for Burnaby Lake. Our scoreline now sits at 8 for Burnaby Lake, 0 for Castaway Wanderers. And here we go with the restart, high up and under. That's a very good looking restart. Travels just the requisite distance, gives the opportunity to the forwards to run onto it, and Albornoz comes down with it. So, or check that, it looked like Kelleher coming down with it. The restart, very, very well executed by Castaway Wanderers, presenting an opportunity to get things going the way they want to, and Kelleher's in there in the bottom of that breakdown. Panga thought about going to Barkwell for a second. Instead, he will elect to go through Thornburg, I believe. Yes, that is Clayton Thornburg on that last sequence, and Panga going out the back door. Now to the right, there's a grubber kick being chased on after by James Mitchell, and the whistle sounds offside the infringement against Burnaby Lake. Panga's touch-finding penalty kick will drift into touch just outside the 22-meter line. Good attacking platform for Castaway Wanderers. They'll want to establish a score line as early as possible here. Try to build some confidence. Ray Barkwell will throw in for Castaway Wanderers. Ball's deflected in the air by the Burnaby Lake player. Savanovic will throw it back to Lackner. He changes direction. Check that was Ackerman on that long throw. Savanovic thought about slow ball, but instead played it over to Paul McFeely. Reekie from inside his 22, long kick, but going back for it is James Turner. He collects it for Castaway Wanderers, tries a shuffle step, buys him a couple more meters. He's over halfway and finally brought down. Barkwell decides to distribute to his right. There's a good overlap situation developing here, potentially for Castaway Wanderers, and charging right over the defender was Johnny Morris. He didn't have too many options except to go right through, and that's what he did, brought down. But this looks good from Castaway Wanderers. A little bit of confusion in the back line who was getting that pass, but it was Keenan Horton. He's tackled. And now Panga opens up a hole. There's one to run through for Oliver, and we're going to bring this back, actually. A penalty to Burnaby Lake cancels out that positive-looking opportunity for Castaway Wanderers. That's some of the better passing that we've seen from them in the early goings of this game. Very positive work. They'll have to just continue the work rate. We watched the first game that took place before this one. It was a Burnaby Lake win, and just an incredible work rate from both of those clubs in a first division game. And Burnaby Lake's firsts are one of the classes of the Reserves League, the players playing in the Library Square Cup. And Burnaby Lake's going to be there in the playoffs for the Library Square Cup for sure. they just want to have their premier team join them as well. The first game ending on a kick into touch within their own goal area, as Burnaby Lake was just hanging on at the very end, and Castaway Wanderers had a couple opportunities just shy, and it was a very entertaining game to watch. This one still developing, but it looked very convincing in the very first 2 minutes of this game for Burnaby Lake, but their attack has slowed significantly since then. Credit to the Castaway Wanderers defense for getting organized and not allowing Burnaby Lake to distribute the ball out wide. Those backs that they have, very, very dangerous. Castaway Wanderers probably a little more tactically inclined to go through the middle, to go through the forwards, and why not? They have some very strong forwards to choose from. We haven't seen Ray Barkwell barge his way forward with the ball yet, but expect that to happen soon enough. And speaking of forwards taking the ball forward, there is Ryan Ackerman running into contact. Goody doing the same, advancing the ball over the 10-meter line and earning a penalty for Burnaby Lake. And this looks like one of those situations, again, where you could kick for points, but I suspect that they'll just want to okay, they're going to go for the post at both 37, 38 meters in distance, pretty much straight away from the uprights. It can be a bit tricky to consider where the points are coming from when you know you have to get the win and have to get the bonus point. You want to keep the scoreboard ticking over, but tries are the real currency that you will live and die by in this game. So Burnaby Lake electing to kick. Riki's kick is low, and he mishit that one. He'll be disappointed with that. So the decision to kick for posts not working the way that Burnaby planned, and that one rolls through in goal and dead. So we'll get a restart to Castaway Wanderers. Lackner's right in front of James Turner, who's doing the kicking, but his kick all the way to the touchline stays in field. Burnaby Lake retaining possession. This ball is going to be run through the middle by Adrian Longbone. He's played a lot of time at the first, hasn't played too many games at the Prems this season. One of their younger players getting some good game action here in a very meaningful game for Burnaby Lake. Little bump off from Ryan Ackerman, setting up this run from Goody. Roxon having a hard time getting the ball out, but now he does. He'll distribute over to, I was going to say Riki. That wasn't Riki, though. That was Lackner in there, and now Savanovic has it. Shoves aside the first tackler, but brought down by the second. Castaway Wanderers able to strip the ball from him, though. Albornoz using the upper body strength to try to create a little space for himself. There's 4, now 5, now 6 Castaway Wanderers players committed to that breakdown. You do what it takes to retain possession. Now we see Barkwell. Now you see that strength that the hooker brings to the attack of the Castaway Wanderers, and he was able to press it forward. Now the little chip through, chased down by Brian Murphy. Burnaby Lake choosing to go slow ball. The ball has seen a lot of time with Ryan Ackerman from Burnaby Lake in the last 5 or 6 minutes. An entry over the top of the ruck, advantage being played. Not through the gate, likely the situation there, is the Castaway Wanderers defender was very quickly on the scrum half. who has the ball now. Roxon electing to chip over the top. It stays in field. His counterpart, Tegan Horton, going back for it. This is actually going to get blown down, and we'll bring this one back for the earlier infringement. I haven't seen the hand signal, but I suspect it was the side entry on that last breakdown from the Castaway Wanderers defender. So we'll have a penalty to Burnaby Lake, and they'll have an opportunity to kick the ball from the 10-meter line and gain some territory. We'll see how accurate the touch-finding kick is, but it'll be an important opportunity as we've used up a big part of this first half already. We're 20-plus minutes in, and Burnaby Lake's try-scoring prowess seemed on display in the very early moments of this game, but they haven't threatened the line since then. We have a bit of a delay here as the players get some rest, get some water. We would like to thank our sponsors for helping us deliver streaming rugby, including Neurogenesis Happy Water, Dura Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, Langaring Fishing Adventures, and of course Canadian Direct Insurance. Still the play not quite decided. Burnaby Lake has the penalty. Some explanations from our referee, James Reekie, with ball in hand. They're clearing those water bottles off the field from the Castaway Wanderers. This almost looks like a end of the quarter break after 20 minutes. Come on, gentlemen, we're not playing football out there. You play the full 40. And there we have the kick into touch. And that finds touch inside the 22. So we've gone a full 20 minutes between opportunities for Burnaby Lake to threaten the line, but here is a good one for them coming up. First step is to retain the line out, and it's been picked off in the line out by Castaway Wanderers. So an execution error from Burnaby Lake. Clay Panga shuffling the ball to change the angle. That's a good decision, and the Gary Owen is kept in field and caught by James, check that, Brian Murphy. Roxon going back. He had his hand clipped while he was throwing that pass by an oncoming Castaway Wanderers tackler. So that pass goes to ground, but Burnaby Lake are able to spin it out to Dulsau, who gets past the first two, slips the third into the fourth, but his offload is right into the hands of the retreating Castaway Wanderers defender. I believe that was Ilnicki, and Castaway Wanderers, oh, there's a stomp by the look of it. It looked like Goody put his boot right on the chest of Ray Barkwell, and tempers flaring now, as that was probably right in the middle of your frame, just off the ball. But it happened behind our referee, so I'm not sure that he saw it. He was looking at a slightly different angle. It was not quite in his front view. Cody Roxon, captain of Burnaby Lake. And there's going to be a yellow card shown. And Goody will be sent off. So whether the referee saw it in his immediate view or not, or with the assistance of the touch judge, the right call being made there, as Goody did put his boot into the chest of Barkwell. That was done in anger, and that was certainly a cardable offense. And so Goody goes off, where he will serve 10 minutes for that act, and that'll take it pretty close to halftime before he returns. That ball sails into touch on the 10-meter line. Good catch there from the Castaway Wanderers bench. Ray Barkwell will throw this one in on the lineout. He's set to go. The Castaway Wanderers not quite ready. 4 men in the lineout for Castaway Wanderers, 3 for Burnaby Lake. Castaway Wanderers, the ball in the right spot, but slips through the hands. And Savanovic will throw it to his right over to Connor McCann. Roxon under pressure as that scrum, or check that breakdown at the ruck, kind of piles back over top, and there's an injured player down at the base there. Maybe Lackner. No, it's not Lackner. We'll check on a number. While we attend to the injured player, we would once again like to turn to all of our partners who help us deliver the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League Game of the Week to you every Saturday. We would like to thank title sponsor Canadian Direct Insurance, and we would like to thank B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. Player injured down on the field was Connor McCann. He has been given some medical attention, checking his wrists and his shoulders. He appears to be set to continue. And we will have a scrum. We haven't seen too many scrums in this game. Just a couple come to mind. Both clubs bringing fairly large front rows into the equation. Each club missing a couple of front row players. Hebert Biden's not available for Castaway Wanderers this week. He very easily changes the dynamic of any scrum that he's involved with, especially at the CDI level. His trade is plied at the national level, and he can dictate a scrum there. So I believe he is absent due to a red card infraction from that Pacific Challenge game, which impacts the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League availability. I can double check on that, but he is not in the lineup today, and taking his place is Clayton Thornburg, doing a good job so far on the tight head side. We'll reset the scrum. Roxon ready to feed the scrum. And it turns sideways, but it's picked up by Savanovic. He goes out the back door to Roxon, now to Riki. Wrapped up by Oliver. Quickly on it is McFeely. Burnaby Lake committing a lot of players to this breakdown. Savanovic hovering his hand over the ball. He'll crash it. Roxon to Riki to Dulsau. His pass bounces, but it is scooped up by Murphy. Check that, that's McQueen. McQueen has space in front of him, full head of steam. Ankle tackle misses, second ankle tap mixes. McQueen stopped short though. Just a couple more meters to go. Burnaby Lake rushing forward to support the player. Roxon trying to find the ball. Somebody else going to pick it up before he does. It's right at the line once again. Now we see the ball back there at the base of the ruck. Roxon will spin to his right to Riki. Dulsau sees a lot of space out there to McQueen. And McQueen will, I don't know. It looked like McQueen was in, but I think he dropped the ball before he was able to dot down. And it was either Panga or Turner who got their wraps on him before he was able to get the ball dotted down. And in the end, it's going to be ruled a try. I'm not sure. I'll see if we can bring up an instant replay of that during our halftime break and take a closer look at it in slow motion. But Burnaby Lake have been awarded their second try of the game. Good work on our camera crew to capture that action right in the center of your frame. So Burnaby Lake now on 13. James Reekie with an opportunity to extend it to 15. And that kick is wide. The kicking not as good as we're used to seeing from James Reekie in this match. He'll hope to correct that soon enough. But we have 13 on the board now for Burnaby Lake, and more importantly, they have their second of 4 required tries. They're looking good so far for the win. Castaway Wanderers have not been able to create any offensive threats. They have been outside the 22 for the significant part of the game's opening 30 minutes. They are playing with an extra man right now, our Castaway Wanderers, as Goody sits in the sin bin. So well done to Burnaby Lake for getting that try, even though they are playing down a player. Savanovic with a long pass to Dulsau, and once he breaks that first tackler, he can be very dangerous, but Castaway Wanderers recognizing that very quickly, and they scramble back on defense. And Panga has the ball out of that breakdown, and he'll quickly offload it into the hands of Johnny Morris, who stays in field. It looked like Panga was going to be bundled in the touch, but now suddenly Castaway Wanderers are on the attack, and like Panga went out the back door with the offload, Lucas Albernos did the same thing to keep the ball moving. Good recycling there, good offloading from Castaway Wanderers, and James Turner taking it across the 22 where he's stopped. And we'll bring this one back for a scrum right on the 22-meter line. Burnaby Lake 13, Castaway Wanderers 0. Burnaby Lake have scored 2 tries. They need 4. They need to win. They are in control of their own destiny when it comes to making the playoffs. But they will need all 5 points in order to guarantee a spot. Very slow out of the back of that scrum, but Savanovic has the ball. He's held there by Brendan Kelleher. Brendan Kelleher wearing number 7. A little bit of action off the ball. Complaints coming from the Castaway Wanderers bench, falling on deaf ears. Burnaby Lake get the penalty for not rolling away. The ball is kicked clear into the grandstands on halfway, and there are about 4 minutes left in this first half. Burnaby Lake accomplishing about 50% of the work that it was assigned to them today. Get the win, get the 4 tries. Once we get to halfway, we will take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard to see what updates are available to us. And if technology permits, we'll take a look at that instant replay of that second Burnaby Lake try. Albernos trying to tap and go through the mark, but we will come back and do this a little more formally then. That ball finding touch, trying to keep it in, but unable to do so was Murphy. And so a very well-worked penalty by Castaway Wanderers, and this is the best situation they have found themselves in this first half. Still don't see Goody in the Burnaby Lake backfield, so Castaway Wanderers still playing up a man right now as we approach halftime. They are inside 10 meters, pushing forward. Slow ball, quick pick and goes. This is very methodical stuff from Castaway Wanderers, but it's getting the job done. Barkwell supported as he gets to the line. Try for Castaway Wanderers, Ray Barkwell. And if there's ever someone you expected to score a try from inside 5 meters, Ray Barkwell is that man. A very strong, very powerful, very tough rugby player. Cut from the old style, old school traditions of hard-nosed rugby players indeed. And he's able to power that one over the line for the Castaway Wanderers. First try of the game. They have 5 points on their account now, and they're looking to close that Burnaby Lake lead by getting the conversion. Turner lining up the conversion attempt. Several Burnaby Lake players race forward, but it will be in vain as the kick sails through the uprights. And 7 points now for Castaway Wanderers as they trail by less than a converted try. And I see Goody back there on the field for Castaway Wanderers. So in the end, the last 12 minutes creates 1 try for Burnaby Lake, 1 try for Castaway Wanderers, and only 6 points separating the two teams right now. Dulsau's restart is just a little too far for his forwards to run onto. Castaway Wanderers, Albornoz spinning and twisting the upper body, trying to escape from that wrap. Oh, that was nearly picked off there by Riki, but the ball bounces off of his hands, and Castaway still with it. Horton spinning away from a tackle. These low passes, tough to pick up, but well done by Clay Panga to collect that one. He gets a lot of help from a trio of teammates who push him forward. Castaway Wanderers still working from inside their own half, but they're approaching the halfway line now. We're also approaching halftime. I would say there's probably 1 or 2 minutes left in the half, depending on stoppages. We did see a couple of injuries. We saw one more extended break where the teams got a refreshment, and that has preceded a couple of tries. So that break giving the legs a little bit of freshness that they required. And this game's got some life in it for sure. Back all the way at their own 22 are Castaway Wanderers, as Burnaby is persistent in keeping CW behind the gain line. And they've also managed to cause the turnover, which CW jumped on, and that led to a penalty, and which means that we have a opportunity to kick for post once again for Burnaby Lake. And instead they decide they're going to go to the corner. Touch finding kick, 6, maybe 5. Well, let's see where the touch judge stops walking, but it's definitely within 10 meters of the Castaway Wanderers line. It's drivable from that distance. And so we'll see what Burnaby Lake can do from the set piece, as they're intent on throwing this one in and driving it across the line. First step, go up and get the ball. Lackner's throw, well taken in there by McLaughlin, and there's the whole front pack pushing the ball forward. Plans working so far. They're at the line. Can they get it over? Roxon goes to his left, into the hands of McFeely. Not quite enough. They'll try it again. Roxon to Riki, left to Goody to Dulsau, sprinting for the corner, and he dots down. And Joe Dulsau has scored the third try of the game for Burnaby Lake right as we approach halftime. So the decision to kick to the corner was a good one. Burnaby Lake able to recycle the ball and spin it from just under the post all the way to Dulsau, who finished it off in the corner. And Burnaby Lake have extended their lead now, 18 points for Burnaby Lake, 7 for Castaway Wanderers as we get ready for the halftime break. Riki faces a long, angled conversion opportunity. It has the distance. The flags go up. 2 more points for Burnaby Lake. They now sit at 20 as they edge ever closer to one of those 4 playoff spots in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League semifinal taking place next Saturday. They will play either UBC or UVic, depending on how things shake down at James Bay today and how things shake down at Capellanos, who are hosting the University of British Columbia. With the restart, Mitchell lifts that one into touch, so this will be brought back on halfway. We're right at the halftime marker, but no signal yet from our referee. Checking the out-of-town scoreboard. James Bay currently leading rowers 19-7 at halftime. And no score reported yet out of Capilano UBC. We'll reach out to Capilano for their update, as I'm sure we can track that down over the intermission here. Castaway Wanderers in possession, trying to get one more score on the board before halftime. They have used those forwards quite reliably in this first half. Just taking slow ball a couple of meters at a time, but Burnaby are pushing back pretty strongly here. And Castaway Wanderers, though, have earned a penalty, so a little too much aggression coming over the top from Burnaby Lake. Good support here on the breakdown. Good ruck from Castaway Wanderers. Barkwell with the ball, trying to break the gain line. He's held short of that gain line, and now it's going to be Horton spinning it over the top. Bounces over to Nathan. Check that, not Oliver, that's Mitchell. He's held on his feet. Still moving forward, though. We have a maul. Now that maul stopped in its forward momentum. Body slashing in there. The maul was deemed to be an unplayable ball, and that's going to result in our halftime whistle. So the score at the break, Burnaby Lake 20, Castaway Wanderers 7. Burnaby Lake earning 3 of the 4 required tries. They have the lead. They'll need at least one more try, and then they'll have to hold on if they hope to get one of those 4 playoff spots in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League. They need all 5 points to do that, and we're 40 minutes away from finding out whether they can do that or not. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Silly Willy Billy is a million miles away. When I had a little mind that I needed him to say, but I don't now, cause I'm mom and dad, I'm a grown-up boy. Saving all my money, gonna buy myself a new toy. Took a jet to the bottom of the visionary mind, where I'm making up the words to a song that doesn't rhyme. If you can't see me, then you better leave a note. Wait, scratch that, cause I'm never gonna gonna be at home. Home, such a funny little thought. Everybody thinks now that I ought to rock. Nah, true, if you know what's best for you. Shut my eyes down now, can I get a deep blue? Sipping 7 up like a full-grown man. Even got a beard now, got it looking so grand. On a counterfeited land in the middle of my palm, and I can't admit I don't belong. Gotta jump now, it's almost 75 degrees. If you're looking at the window, bet you feel the breeze. Got enough sun now to make the skin wanna dive. Outside one time, let's fly, high rise. Got an itty-bitty care on the itty-bitty earth. If you don't know what to wear, then you don't know what it's worth. If you don't know what it's worth, then you don't know what you're missing. Everybody in the right mind gonna wish in. Oh. Okay, here we go. Ha!
Don't waste your time away in life. It's worth the wait. Never too late.
For every passion, there is an ultimate destination. A place revered by countless tales. For salmon fishing, that destination is Langara Island. Immerse yourself in natural splendor and enjoy the greatest fishing experience of your life at Langara Fishing Lodge.
At Canadian Direct Insurance, we've all had a first car, and a second car, and then something that more closely resembles a bus. We've carpooled, car tripped, and carpool tripped. We've even had car mishaps. That's why we give you the kind of service we'd expect for ourselves. Canadian Direct Insurance.
We're seconds away from the beginning of the final half of the regular season, final 40 minutes of the CDI Premier League for 2014-2015. We move on to the playoffs after that. Will Burnaby Lake be amongst those clubs competing in the playoffs? We will find out. Right now, the out-of-town scoreboard tells us it is 3-0 for UBC leading Caps. Caps need the 4 points to guarantee a playoff spot. If they fail to win, both Burnaby Lake and James Bay could conceivably catch or pass them. So very dynamic situation over there in Clahaney Park in West Vancouver. That's UBC leading Capilano 3-0 just in the start of the second half. Also out of town, we have James Bay facing the Rowers. James Bay winning, or leading, I should say, 19-7 at the half. So a very similar scoreline to what we have here. 20 for Burnaby Lake, 7 for Castaway Wanderers. That's your score as we begin the second half. And James Mitchell will get things started for Castaway Wanderers with this restart. Good looking restart from Castaway Wanderers, but the ball bounces off the ground. Savanovic chasing after it. He'll get to it first, playing a little footy, but unable to collect it as the ball rolls into touch on the Castaway Wanderers side of halfway. Deep throw collected by Castaway Wanderers as Kelleher went up there to collect that ball high in the air. And a good-looking clear out as both of those CW forwards hit the ruck at exactly the same time. Burnaby Lake trying to set something up. Their backs are very flat-footed. They're all around the base of the breakdown, and Castaway Wanderers able to turn it over. Alberno's pumping those legs, trying to get forward. Panga to Kelleher. Not a lot of support in this breakdown, but it is collected by Turner. Support a little bit better. They got the ruck set up now, and they'll spin to the right very quickly through the hands into the hands of Clayton Thornburg. Ball jumps out of the back of the ruck there, but reaching behind him is Keenan Horton as he's able to retain the forward progress, or retain the ball and keep the forward progress going for Castaway Wanderers. Good presentation from Clay Panga as he's brought down. Trio of Burnaby Lake defenders wrap up James Mitchell. Panga keeps his legs moving, even though there's a couple of Burnaby Lake players that tried to bring him down. Castaway Wanderers able to build successive plays, good phase play here from them. Not gaining a lot of territory, but definitely getting a good look at the ball. Barkwell's brought down. A little pop pass finds its way into the hands of Kelleher. And again, this is constructive. Looking for any gaps in the Burnaby Lake defense. Panga thought he saw something. There wasn't anything on, and the turnover happens, and Cody Roxon brings it out for Burnaby Lake. That is slashed high. There's no one back there at fullback for Castaway Wanderers, so having to chase it down is Tegan Horton. The ball is lifted into the air. It'll stay infield where Roxon is running onto it. He hits it at full speed and is brought down at the 10-meter line. Drummond cuts to his right. Plods forward for a couple more meters. Roxon to Goody. Thought he found a gap, but well tackled. They'll try the left side. Savanovic crashing forward. They're inside the 22 now, are Burnaby Lake. Castaway Wanderers, though, thought they had recovered the ball in the breakdown, but a penalty to Burnaby Lake. So the tackling player did not release the man on the ground and got the ball in there. A little bit tricky to see from where that play happened, exactly what happened in the breakdown there, but Burnaby Lake are able to use this penalty to nudge the ball into touch, and once more they find themselves deep in enemy territory. They have less than 10 meters to cover, and the last time we saw them in this position, they were able to drive the ball forward, not over the line, but a couple of moments later they were able to get it to Dulsau. So one of the 3 tries they scored in the opening half came from exactly this situation, but good pushback here from Castaway Wanderers. Burnaby Lake trying to organize that maul. Ball slowed as the maul hits the ground. So Castaway Wanderers will have an opportunity to contest this one. Burnaby Lake, though, able to retain the ball in through the hands of Ackerman. Strong Castaway Wanderers defense denying Burnaby Lake this opportunity thus far. Riki will go long to Dulsau, hitting McQueen at full speed. Now over to Murphy. And it looked like the foot and touch, and the flag does go up. Quickly taken by Castaway Wanderers as Burnaby Lake was trying to organize, and good recognition there from Barkwell just to get it in. Clearance kick stays in field. McQueen turns around as the ball bounces away from him, but he now has the ball. It's going to be lifted over to Timler. Timler is dumped. We saw those feet get pretty close to horizontal, but play on, says our referee. Good strong hit against Timler. He bounces back to his feet though, and we have a penalty in this situation to Castaway Wanderers. We've seen a lot of infractions for not releasing the ball, not releasing the tackler. Similar kinds of infractions for both of these teams. Hasn't been very clean at times in the breakdown, but just the result of a very highly contested game. Both teams being very aggressive. Dulsau decides to lift it high. This is going to find touch on the full, I suspect. No, it bounces just in field, and that worked out okay for Burnaby Lake, as that would have been brought back about 20 meters if it had landed about 2 inches to the right. But we have a line out now for Castaway Wanderers well inside their own 22. I don't think that's exactly what Dulsau had planned for that chip kick, but it worked out okay. And Bark will throw in for Castaway Wanderers. A little more formal, a little more structured this time, as both teams have several bodies in the lineout. 5 in the lineout for Burnaby Lake, 5 in the lineout for Castaway Wanderers, who go deep and high and are able to retain possession. They've pushed this maul up to the 22-meter line. Forward progress impeded. Horton to the right, over to Oliver. And we'll bring this one back again on a penalty and off check. That looks like a side entry being called, either that or an offside. A very quick motion from our referee. Coming in from the side, and Barkwell has the ball, and we'll probably just get a kick into touch here. A little bit of explanation of what led to the infraction. Panga puts the ball right onto the roof here at the clubhouse at Windsor Park. Great facility, beautiful setting here, just blocks away from the ocean on Vancouver Island and Oak Bay. Long tradition of rugby here in Victoria. It's been a season that Castaway Wanderers will want to probably put in the rear view mirror, but they're putting on a good display here. Not nearly as much on the line for them as maybe James Bay as they try to get that last playoff spot, but certainly a pride-filled effort from Castaway Wanderers, who are showing a lot of heart and a lot of compete in this game. Burnaby Lake, though, has been strong in the tackle. Castaway Wanderers have not been able to get into the Burnaby Lake 22 very often. at this stage, and there is about 30 minutes left to play in this match. We'll take this moment. Actually, we're going to take a break. We're just going to continue on. Penalty to Castaway Wanderers. And Pango with ball in hand, about 15 meters in front of where he was when he put it on the roof. He'll do it again. So the ball continues to advance up the field for Castaway Wanderers, but slowly. They'll want to get at least a try on the board to start chasing down this 13-point Burnaby Lake lead and build some confidence that they will be able to come back. We haven't exactly seen tries in bunches in this game. It's been a quick try from Burnaby Lake off the very beginning of the game, and then both teams kind of trading punches in terms of try scoring in 10-minute intervals. Horton deciding to go left or right. He goes left into Ilnicki. Castaway Wanderers earning a penalty for the third time in a row. So they keep advancing the ball with these penalties. Burnaby Lake being very assertive, very aggressive, but sometimes getting a little bit carried away in that aggressiveness. It's hard to really draw that line in rugby, as you want to do everything you can just to make your tackles and secure the ball and keep possession. This touch-finding penalty kick will move the ball to about 30 meters away from in goal. Kind of tough to see the angle. It might be as close as the 22, actually. There's the flag. So just outside the 22-meter line. Ray Barkwell throwing in. They go deep, secured by Castaway Wanderers. This will put them inside the 22 for only the third time in this game. Let's see what they can do with possession. It's going to be scooped over the top. Collecting the ball back there was Mitchell, but it's turned over. And Burnaby Lake taking slow ball as the backfield resets itself. Roxon to Riki. Dosal is stopped. The ball is slightly out of our camera frame and it's contested. Burnaby Lake will hold on to this one. Roxon to Ackerman. He drops the ball forward. Should be advantage for Castaway Wanderers. At the 22, check that, they're at the 10-meter line. Panga to Horton. Turner. Albornoz gives the defender a shove. Stays on his feet. Castaway Wanderers earning another penalty. They decide to take it quickly, or at least that was the plan. And our referee will ask them to stop for just a second before they do anything with the ball. It's been a tremendous weekend of rugby. We started on Friday morning bringing you the high school girls sevens. That championship cup taking place at Langford at the West Hills Stadium, and that game will be getting underway at 4:15 p.m., so just a few minutes from now. And that takes place between Abbotsford and Brentwood College and the BC High School Girls Sevens Championship. We'll be right back at it with the High School Boys Championship next weekend. That takes place at St. George's School in Vancouver. We'll have full coverage that weekend as well. We'll also have the CDI Premier League game on Saturday, and still sorting out the fixtures, but it'll probably be from UBC, I would suspect, and against maybe Capilano, maybe Burnaby Lake, maybe James Bay. It all depends on how things shake down in the next 20 minutes. Good little pass from Ray Barkwell as he has it for just a fraction of a second and goes behind his back, looking like a point guard there on the hardwood. And more good passing from Castaway Wanderers. They get the ball to Kelleher and then to Mitchell. They're at the 22-meter line. Castaway Wanderers earning a penalty as a result. Horton thought he suspected a gap was present in that situation, but the referee once again will stop play. And I believe he may be consulting with the touch judge, or at least bringing it back to the mark. And I am not wired into the microphone system of the referees, so my guess is as good as yours at this point, but we certainly anticipate being able to patch through referee audio in the future for our broadcast. Just tackling a couple of technical constraints on that first. Clay Panga unconstrained with that kick as he manages to find touch about 8 meters out from the line, so very well done from Panga in the touch-finding kick on that penalty, which will give Castaway Wanderers an opportunity to create a driving maul if they can get possession off this line-out. Burnaby Lake's work is far from over. They have 3 tries. They need a 4th, so the scoreline is really inconsequential well, not inconsequential, but is less impactful than just the 20-7 situation that we have. There's a lot more at play. Because at last check, James Bay was leading the rowers, and they had 19 points, so James Bay needs a try bonus as well. And anything less than that from either of these teams, if one team gets 4 points and not the 5, it gets pretty messy as far as the tie-breaking situations, and you'll have to go to bcrugby.com and we'll sort all that out. But that's going to create some work for me as we get through the final standings of the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League. A little bit of violence at the bottom of that breakdown, confusing both teams as they have arms in the air, pleading with our referee to award a penalty or more. And as they set up this scrum, we would like to turn to our sponsors and say a big thank you to Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. The scrum will take place just a couple of meters outside Burnaby Lake's in-goal area. But Burnaby have managed to move the ball forward. That takes a little bit of that pressure off, and we'll get another scrum as a result of a knock-on here. And we have an out-of-town score to report. It is now 7-3 for Capilano. Capilano try being scored in the second half. They have basically the same amount of time remaining as us here, which would be about 20 minutes to go. So the out-of-town scoreboard, Capilano 7, UBC 3, 20 minutes to go in that match. Capilano just needs the 4 points to hold on to a playoff spot, and they are in a position to do that right now. Out-of-town scoreboard to update you. Seb Pearson has scored for James Bay, as well as a couple of other James Bay tries in the last few minutes, and that puts James Bay up 33-14. So James Bay well in the lead. It looks like they're on their way to 5 points, which means that if Burnaby Lake wants to grab a playoff spot, they will need one more try in this match. In addition to that try, they'll also have to hold off Castaway Wanderers, who have looked good at times in this second half and who have stayed inside that Burnaby Lake 22 for about the last 5 minutes, but have been unable to come away with any points. Good opportunity here for them, though, as Tegan Horton feeds the scrum. This one starts to wheel a little bit, but it's scooped up. And again, some tempers flaring as players extricate themselves from the scrum. Castaway Wanderers now just a couple meters out. Panga over to Mitchell. And the ball is loose for just a second, but collected, intercepted. And it's actually stopped. The whistle has gone. McQueen was about to seal the 4-point try bonus for Burnaby Lake. And there is an offside infringement being called against Burnaby Lake well behind the play. So this one will return all the way back to inside the 22, about 8 or 9 meters out. The touch-finding penalty kick puts the ball into the hands of Ray Barkwell once again. So Castaway Wanderers far from done in this game. Could conceivably win with just a couple of converted tries. They trail by 13 points. They're able to retain possession on the lineout. They're driving the maul forward. A couple more meters to go for Castaway Wanderers. And there's a try for Ray Barkwell. Again, the arm has not gone up. Consultation between the referees, just making sure everything is good. And yes, Ray Barkwell has scored his second try for Castaway Wanderers in this game. Doesn't matter what position you play, whether you're a forward or you're a back, try scoring and attacking with width can be done by anyone, and the ball was passed along the line to Barkwell, who took it in for the try. And that brings Castaway's Wanderers score now to 12 points. Conversion to come. James Mitchell doing the kicking for Castaway Wanderers. I think I was probably calling the wrong name for about the first 10 minutes of the game, but it is in fact number 13, Mitchell. Difficult conversion kick. He takes a deep breath. He puts boot to ball. It looks like it's going to drift wide, and it in fact does. So a little more work required for Castaway Wanderers. They will need more than just one more converted try to put themselves into the lead, as they are adrift by 8 points. So 2 scores required from Castaway Wanderers if they hope to get back into the lead. So it should make for a pretty interesting final 20 minutes as Burnaby Lake need the win and need one more try. Castaway Wanderers within reach of this game. Roxon pleading for some assistance there in that breakdown and getting the penalty. Riki's kick finds touch just inside the 22. So here we go. Burnaby Lake will set up inside the 22, looking for their 4th try of the game. Based on the way things are going on the out-of-town scoreboard, they do in fact need this bonus point to secure a playoff spot, and then they'll, if they're able to score a try, will have to hold on for the final 15 minutes to that closing whistle. They left it really, really late against the Vancouver Rowing Club last week in a similar situation where they needed 5 points. Maybe doing a little bit of the work earlier this time around. Apologies there as the feed broke up just for a moment. But thanks for staying with us. 20 points for Burnaby Lake, requiring one more try. 12 points for Castaway Wanderers. 2 tries courtesy of Ray Barkwell, who's made a big impact, big difference in this game. Long delay here as they line up the scrum. Out of town scoreboard says James Bay has 38, Rowers 19. So James Bay definitely in bonus point territory for sure. They'll collect the 5 points against Rowers. So 4 points not enough for Burnaby Lake. They will need another try plus the win to move on. Castaway Wanderers have a lot to say about that result though, as the ball is kept in field. Johnny Morris fighting for some space. Foot in touch. And there's going to be a line out to Castaway Wanderers here. Less than 15 minutes to go here in the final Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League game of the week of the season. After that, we move into the playoffs. Semifinals go next week. Club finals going on May 9th and 10th, Clahany Park in West Vancouver. The CDI Premier League final, the Roundsville Cup final, will go at 2:45 on May 9th. Burnaby Lake was there last year, looking to get back there once again. And they've left themselves a pretty big hill to climb this season to do it. They needed to get points against the Ravens and a couple of bonus point wins in the following 2 games just to give themselves a chance at the playoffs. And they've answered the first couple of challenges, but they've left themselves a little bit short here, still requiring at least one more try. And the clock is ticking against them. We didn't anticipate that would necessarily be a problem, as they were able to score a try in the first 2 minutes, and it looked like maybe we would have a bit of a run for Burnaby Lake. But Castaway Wanderers give them a lot of credit. They have not only made this an entertaining game, but they have made for some very good drama for any of the Burnaby Lake fans that are watching, and some of the James Bay fans that are probably watching as well. James Bay doing their job up at McDonald Park, but they will need a little bit of assistance from Castaway Wanderers, as right now Burnaby Lake sit on potentially 4 points. And James Bay would have 5, and then we're into tiebreakers, and it gets really messy. But as far as I remember, that would be a Burnaby Lake advantage in that tiebreaker situation. So Burnaby Lake just trying to do it themselves, but the ball spills out of the hands of James Reiki right as he got within 5 meters of the line. We have a penalty, though. Some of the players not realizing that there's a penalty back behind the play. And as the ball was ripped out of the hands of Reiki, there is a not rolling away call that will benefit Burnaby Lake. And as we get into the last 10 minutes, the checklist of required items for the playoffs getting shorter for Burnaby Lake, but they'll have to tick off this box here with a try, their best scoring situation in quite some time. They have yet to score in the second half. This is Admir Savanovic time, I would suspect. Lots of enthusiasm from the Castaway Wanderers bench and from their coaching staff, not happy with the way that last scrum worked out. We will reset the scrum. This looks like the perfect chance for number 8 just to pick the ball off the back of the scrum. Five meters to go. Again, this scrum collapses, and we're getting into dangerous territory if the referee feels that Castaway Wanderers are bringing these scrums down intentionally right in front of their own in-goal area. Big pivotal moment in this game. It's proceeding very slowly, but they obviously are considering the weight of the moment. Want to get it right. This scrum looks good. It's holding up. It's being pushed just forward. There's that pickup from Savanovic. Bump off, and the ball is maybe held up, but the try is awarded. Admir Savanovic has scored the try for Burnaby Lake that they have badly needed. Burnaby Lake with 25. As I said just a couple seconds ago, it did look like it could be a number 8 pick off the back of the scrum. It could be Savanovic, and indeed it was. Making the broadcast team look good was Savanovic as he charged over the only tackler in his way. And it looked for a second like it might be held up. But Burnaby Lake have scored the 4 tries. So they've earned 1 point from this game. They need 4 more. They are 12 points in front. This conversion would put them 14 in front with 7 minutes to play. And the conversion is good. I'll check my math on that one, as I apologize. That was some inaccurate math on my part. But Burnaby Lake has 27. Castaway Wanderers have 12. So 15, not 14, is the difference at this point. And we get into the closing 6 or 7 minutes of this game. Burnaby Lake, again, leaving everything late, as they have done in recent weeks. But so far, so good. They do have the 4 tries they needed. And now they just have to close things out. 15 points is the pad that they have right now. They have 6 minutes to defend like crazy. Castaway Wanderers, though, earning a penalty, and they will try to chip into this lead. Pressing forward is Nathan Oliver. Castaway Wanderers inside the 22. Low pass off of Kelleher. Mitchell with the shove, but dragged down. Burnaby Lake turns the ball over. Savanovic, long kick from inside his 22, chased after. The ball does bounce into touch. And it's going to be a line out for Burnaby Lake. We would like to say a huge thank you to Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira, Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Abbas and Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, and Langara Fishing Adventures. Their generous support allows us to deliver streaming rugby to you every week, and it's been a tremendous regular season. It's been a learning experience at times as we got through our first full season of live streaming action every Saturday, not without its mistakes, but certainly with its highlights. And thanks for sticking with us in the early goings, and it's got better and better, I feel, every week, and that's the feedback we're hearing. Burnaby Lake has been kind of the same way in recent weeks. There were some mistakes, but they've been getting better and better with each passing week, starting to look more and more like the team that only lost once in the regular season last year and missed out on a Roundsfell Cup by the narrowest of margins last season as James Bay came back on the final play of the game to kick a penalty and win. So looking for redemption are Burnaby Lake, and they've had a big hill to climb. They needed to get points against Ravens. They did that by scoring a try on the final play of the game 4 weeks ago. It seems like not so long ago, but the season moves very quickly. We had a holiday break, and then they went and played Rowers at home. Rowers took a very early lead in that game, scored 2 tries. Burnaby clawed their way back, getting back into the game, scoring tries throughout, and then getting into the lead and getting their 4th try with just a couple minutes left, which edged them up to 25-22, the victory in that game. And then here, a very similar situation. They haven't left it quite as late, but they did score early, and they managed to get 3 more tries over the following 70 minutes or so. And with about 4 minutes to play here in this game, Burnaby Lake have the bonus point they need for the 4 tries, and they're just working their way towards that 80-minute whistle. Castaway Wanderers, it's been a frustrating season, although they've really kept their discipline, I would say, for the most part in this game. Nothing too untowards. They've played a very professional game of rugby here this afternoon. Good spirits from them. Ray Barkwell has had a very strong game. He's looked sharp. And the rest of his teammates have looked good as well. Not threatening offensively like they would like to see, but they have been able to secure the ball through phase play and good possession. Their forwards have had a big impact on this game. And it's been a lot of play just like this, with the slow ball being scooped up and just a couple of quick passes. Not a lot of width, not a lot of depth, but that's okay. They're playing to their strength, which is those forwards. There's a slipped pass, but that's okay. It was being played advantage, I believe, and they'll bring this one back to the earlier infraction, and it is indeed a penalty to Castaway Wanderers. Barkwell looking for the hat trick. He's pretty close to the line, not quite all the way there as our referee investigates. And even though the ball did just cross the line, it's ruled as being held up. So Castaway Wanderers denied that scoring opportunity, as Barkwell did manage to get the ball to the whitewash, but held up in goal, says our referee. Barkwell shaking his head. He disagrees. He feels like he got it down. So Burnaby Lake not quite out of the woods yet. They have a 15-point lead to defend. And Castaway Wanderers chipping away at it potentially here with a scrum 5 meters from goal. Morton with the put in at the scrum. Albornoz has it. He's being forced backwards. CW forced to retreat a little bit. Now they're about 10 meters out. The ball is scooped up and pitched to the right. Panga decides to go over the top. Timler will get there first. Takes a bit of an odd bounce, but no one running onto it, and the ball spins into in goal and finds the touchline in goal. So threat averted for Burnaby Lake. The fans back in Burnaby in the Lower Mainland will be happy to see the way that ball randomly bounced in their favor in that situation. And we are inside the last 5 minutes. I anticipate about 3 more minutes to go. The whistle could come any time after that. Burnaby Lake have done enough to earn their 5 points, as I do not think Castaway Wanderers are going to be able to convert 3 tries, or at least 2 tries plus a penalty in the game's dying moments. Burnaby Lake have climbed a big mountain here as they were able to close in the teams in the pack in front of them, the peloton, so to speak, catch back up with the leaders. They'll probably shake their heads a little bit in the pub afterwards as if they're able to hold on, that they left themselves so much work to do in the closing weeks of the season. It was a pretty close run thing, but they have done well. And Panga kicks it clear, and the final whistle sounds, and that is it. Burnaby Lake have earned the 5 points they were tasked to chase down. Castaway Wanderers unable to hold them at bay, and Burnaby Lake will secure one of those 4 playoff spots in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League playoffs, which begin next Saturday. And we'll see how things shape up out of town, whether they're playing back here on Vancouver Island against UVic or against the UBC Thunderbirds. But the season continues for Burnaby Lake. They will be on the road for the playoffs. Castaway Wanderers, the season is done, and an opportunity to regroup and refresh over the summer and come back for next year. A much more positive start to the year required from Castaway Wanderers, who just kind of got behind very early in the first few games, and their season frayed at the edges quickly. And Burnaby Lake also having a slow start to the season, but were able to turn things around and hang on just by the smallest of margins. Your winners today, Burnaby Lake, they'll be going to the playoffs, and we may just see them next week. The Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League playoffs start. We'll have live streaming of that next Saturday at 2:45. A big thank you from BC Rugby goes out to Canadian Direct Insurance, B2 Gold, Neurogenesis Happy Water, Adira Live West Coast, Extreme Rugby Wear, Avison Young, Grosvenor, Okanagan Spring Brewery, Thorstenson's, Langara Fishing Adventures, and to all of you for tuning in and watching today's game. Burnaby Lake will move on. They are in the playoffs after a 27-12 win over Castaway Wanderers. I'm Brendan Monroe. We will see you next week for more rugby. Please join us.